Hey everyone, welcome to a new game. So I just wrapped up my Ethiopia Voidsingers game here. Was able to get my fastest science victory yet with 194 turns. Um, so this is a pretty fun game. A couple disappointments that I'll discuss a little bit because I think there's a lot of room for improvement. You could probably shave like 10 or 20 turns off of it with a few if things went a little differently, but we'll get to that. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the strategy. This was basically like a typical faith science strategy where you start with holy sites basically in every city, and then you go to campuses after that. So since we're Ethiopia, we get a lot of science and culture from faith. Um, for cities founded on hills. And then I did the Voidsingers as well, the secret society. They give you 20%, like this. Uh, and Ethiopia is only applies to cities on hills. So the other one applies no matter where the city is settled. So combined, those two things give you a lot of science and culture with faith. So that really helped. Even when I only had a couple campuses early on, I was generating quite a bit of science and culture. Um, so that was kind of the general strategy. Basically, I was going for choral music with my religion, but I missed that. Choral music gives you culture from temples and shrines, and I think maybe from the tier 3 buildings too. So that would have been really cool because that we would have just flown through the civic tree and been able to get to globalization really early. But that didn't work out. I want to try this strategy again and actually get that because I think that would be really powerful. Um, so it was a classical era monumentality golden age. So I had a lot of faith going into the classical era and was able to buy settlers and some builders with that and expand really quickly. I think I was able to expand even a little quicker than my Russia game. Um, so that was really cool. My plan was to go for a dark age in the medieval era and then run the monasticism card, which gives you plus 75% science in cities with a holy site. Um, but we missed the Dark Age again, just like my Russia game. So that was really frustrating because right there alone, I think you can shave off 10 to 15 turns um, if you can pull that off. So I wasn't able to do that, which was disappointing. I wasn't so focused on the details after that. I lost a little bit of my enthusiasm for it. I just kind of wanted to get through it. But I'm actually surprised that it went as well as it did in the end. So that was cool. Let's see. So we went with Earth Goddess as our pantheon, which wasn't the best. We had quite a bit of jungle. I'm really looking forward to the new Highlands map that is coming out in a few days in the September update. I think that map looks like you could have a lot of really good appeal. So Earth Goddess is going to be really good for that one. It wasn't the best for this. Uh, it was okay, but not great. I had to chop a lot of woods, and then I had quite a bit of jungle. Um, with my religious beliefs, I ended up my backup was going to be Feed the World, which gives you food from shrines and temples. But that one was also taken. So I had to decide between work ethic and reliquaries. Work ethic gives you production from holy site adjacency, and then reliquaries triples your faith output for relics. I went with the first one just for the extra production. I think that was probably the right choice. As Ethiopia, I didn't have the best holy sites, maybe like +3, +4 at the best adjacency. So work ethic wasn't extremely powerful, but it helped. Um, So let's see. Yeah, basically just a typical faith science approach, very similar to my Russia and Brazil games. Um, yeah, and then let's go through the rest of these bonuses here with Ethiopia. So I already mentioned you get the 15% of your faith generation in science and culture for cities founded on hills. That was another thing. Only probably half of my cities were founded on hills, so I wasn't able to completely exploit that. But I think that is a pretty cool. That's a really nice bonus. +4 combat strength fighting on hills. We had a little warfare. We took out a neighbor in sort of like the mid game, but it wasn't a huge factor there. The international trade routes grant half faith per resource at the origin. Again, since I was focusing on holy sites and campuses, I didn't have a lot of commercial hubs, which means that I didn't have a lot of trade route capacity. So this one wasn't a huge deal, but it was nice. A little extra faith at the beginning. Um, Improved resources provide +1 faith for each copy the city owns. So that was pretty good. Get some extra faith early on, and then you can purchase archaeological museums and archaeologists with faith. That's kind of nice too. Later in the game, let's see. So they have the Oromo cavalry. I didn't actually use that, but I could have actually. Looking back, that could have given me some era points maybe. Um, Rock-hewn churches. I was hoping to rely on these a little more than I ended up. It's kind of hard because you have to choose between a mine and a rock-hewn church. The mines give you the production. This gives you the faith. It's kind of a toss-up. So maybe I should have done a few more of those. But it is a pretty cool improvement if you have a lot of mountains and hills next to it. Let's see. So we have the settings here. We've got Pangaea map. This is the new feature here where you can select natural wonders. I just went with everything. New World Age, wet map, 12 city states. Sometimes I go up to 14, but I feel like that kind of limits how many cities I can settle. So I think 12 is probably ideal. Disaster intensity was just 2. Of course, we had Secret Societies mode on, and then here is the game and map seed if anybody wants to try the map. We had a really weird start. There was a city state like 2 or 3 tiles away, unsettled. So it was the settler and the warriors. So I was able to put my city down, my capital, and then declare war on them. They were still moving their settler around because they couldn't settle in place anymore after I settled. So I went and stole their settler and got like a really early second city. That was probably a big part of why I won in 194 turns. I think just from getting that early city really fast, that really helped a lot. Definitely not a normal situation. And then that allowed me to get a governor promotion too, so I could use that on Pangaea. Um, let's see. The map was not like the first few cities. There were some good cities, but after that it was a little open and not the most wooded map. So that was a little bit of a drawback. There were no scientific city states. That's another thing I should mention. Um, so no scientific city states. That really cost me in science. It would have been cool to see how quick this would have been if I could get the medieval dark age with monasticism and then get choral music as the religious belief and then have a couple scientific city states. I think it's possible to win this in like 20 or 25 turns quicker than I did. Um, so it would be cool to get the right combination there. But again, a lot of luck early on. It's kind of tough getting a golden age with these guys because you I noticed that when I get a golden age into a classical golden age, usually I have a unique unit or a unique improvement that gives me a lot of era score in the ancient era. And these guys don't really have that. They have the rock hewn church. at drama and poetry, which you really don't get until the classical era. So this was it's tough to get a golden age with these guys, I would say. So a lot of that is luck, having the right map and everything. But this one was able to get me that. So the ingredients really are like a classical golden age, a natural wonder that you can find so that you can boost astrology. You don't want to waste all those extra turns early on researching astrology. That will let you get the early holy site, get the early religion, and get some of the good religious beliefs. So that those are two really important things. The other factor is getting into the Voidsingers. So that is a real hit and miss. You need a tribal village, and I tried a lot of different maps before this one, and it is pretty hard to get into them. But I was able to get in on this one. So yeah, those three things are, and then of course you need a good starting position too for a game like this. You need a strong start. So those four things are tough to get all those aligned, and then that's just the ancient era. Then ideally in the classical era, you would minimize your era score. You would get the choral music belief, and then get the medieval dark age, and that is also, I think that there's a lot of luck in that too. So a lot of this, there is a lot of luck involved. I'm seeing in these quick games, but definitely fun game. My next game is probably going to be Bull Moose Teddy. I'm probably going to wait for the Highlands map to come out for that one. That I have some interesting ideas with that. Trying to decide which secret society to go with. It's either Voidsingers or Sanguine Pact for that one. So I'll have to think about that a little more. I'm leaning maybe toward the Voidsingers again, just because that early faith with a classical golden age is really strong. And then, of course, with him, it's going to be Earth Goddess, and it's going to be crazy, really good. And we won't do any holy sites, I don't think, in that game. We'll just do campuses right away, but we'll have a lot of faith from those other things. So that should be a pretty powerful combination. All right, enjoy.